The NBA draft is coming soon, and March Madness is officially over. And basketball fans everywhere, at least for any team that is not still in the playoffs, is paying very close attention to all of the names that are entering the draft. But Victor Wembanyama is the consensus number 1 draft pick, and he has not played a minute of college basketball in America. And Scoot Henderson is number 2, and he is an American-born player, but he chose to skip college voluntarily and plays for the G League Ignite. So let's be brutally honest about how the NBA really sees college basketball, because the NBA game has been changing for a while now, and college basketball has been incredibly slow to change with it. It definitely ain't the first place that they're looking for the best players, but college basketball still serves a purpose for the NBA. So here's what that purpose actually is in this decade. College basketball right now is what it has always been, a free minor league for the NBA. The only problem is they have no control over how it functions. It's run by the NCAA, which has very different priorities than the professional level. Division I basketball basically has to play by the same rules as D2 and D3, even though they will have a chance at attracting some of the best professional prospects. Well, y'all know that ain't happening in the other divisions. So they play a 30-game regular season with a single elimination tournament to crown a national champion. But there are over 360 teams in Division I alone. So even if the best player on each of those teams were to enter the draft, you would still have 6 times as many players entered as the amount of guys who could actually get on a team. College basketball allows the absolute best players, the Paolo Bancheros and the Brandon Millers, to prove themselves. But those stars have to shine really brightly when there's 360 teams out there. And if we're gonna keep being honest, most NBA prospects are being tracked by NBA scouts before they get to college. Their play in college is just proof that they are worthy of being drafted. It is not the thing that attracted the scouts to them in the first place. This is why players leave college early, the first chance that they get. Because the longer you choose to stay in college, the more time you give NBA scouts to start picking apart your game. And they'll just find a younger player who does the same thing that you do. And if I'm really being brutally honest, college basketball, even at the highest levels of Division I, is not legitimate preparation for the NBA. Because the NBA is not in the basketball business. They are in the entertainment business. All of the rule changes they've made over the last 20 to 30 years have been to entertain the fans. And the happier the fans are, the more money that they make. So in the 90s, you get more isolation play, so we can watch Michael Jordan go to work. And in the 2010s, you get freedom of movement, so Steph Curry can drop 3-point bombs from all over. College basketball is stubborn because they're not in the entertainment business, which is why college basketball coaches today run a lot of the same plays they were running 30 years ago. Ironically, college basketball is much more like international play than it is anything in the NBA. That's why players don't really score a lot of points, especially on competitive college basketball teams. Remember, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Bledsoe were on the same college basketball team with 4 other guys who also played in the NBA. With a roster like that, none of them were gonna drop 20 a game. That's the reason why scouts have to pay attention to the details of how they play, not just their stats. And some players, like Marvin Williams at UNC and Jan Waiters at Syracuse, didn't even start on their college teams, and they became lottery picks anyway. So clearly it wasn't their college play that got them that high on the draft boards. And the biggest truth of all is that college basketball players flat out aren't as good as those in the NBA or even in the J League. No disrespect to D1 schools like South Alabama or the College of the Holy Cross or even the Virginia Military Institute. But the basketball players there are not NBA level. To get to the league, you can't just drop a bunch of points on them. NBA scouts have to figure out, can you pull the same moves off when Jimmy Butler is guarding you? The players who play at the highest level for the longest amount of time against the best teams will stand out as the best pro prospects. Tosin Evwoman was the Ivy League Player of the Year for Princeton, but it wasn't until he led them to the Sweet 16 in the tournament that he actually got on draft boards. Truth be told, the scouts really weren't checking for him. He just happened to go off while playing against the guy they were looking at. And now that he has NBA attention, he has to perform at the combine in order to keep it. College basketball today isn't what it used to be, because 4 of the top 5 prospects in this year's draft didn't play college basketball. But the high school to the NBA era didn't stop teams from needing to scout college basketball players. So that means that this new era with Overtime Elite and the G League Ignite is still not going to stop it. College basketball isn't going anywhere, and neither is the NBA. But Division I college basketball is basically a grown adult child that the NBA has no control over. But the G League Ignite program is the NBA's baby. And even Overtime Elite is no older than a toddler. The NBA still needs college basketball, especially in the second round of the draft. But they're gonna have to get accustomed to way less attention. And that's whether or not they like it.